Hello, I'm Matthew Hernandez, and this is Book Chat with You. And this and almost every episode, I try to make this be a conversation with you about literature. Yes, truly a conversation. My focus is not literary theory or criticism or any of that stuff. I have been told on occasion that I like to do a lot of close reading, but I want these to be a conversation. So, this book, Dress Your Family Up in Corduroy by David Sedaris. Most of this, or at least from what I'm hearing, seems to be autobiographical essays, but this first one, Us and Them, could definitely be put into the story category, and I'd like to just focus on short stories for now. So, in this first story, it takes place when David Sedaris is a young boy. I don't know quite how young, he doesn't say his age, but anytime that we get some of these pronouns, like, well, I'm, or when it says my dad and all that, I could just assume that, yes, it is his real life family. And I don't know how much he plays around with the narrative in here, to change somebody's names. So, such as the people they talk about quite a bit here are his neighbors, the Tomkeys. Who has any idea if these is their real name? Although we could assume that it's, mostly true about what it says here about them. So, in this story, they just moved to a new neighborhood, and it's pretty close from where they just moved before that, though further away from where they lived previous to that. And in this new neighborhood, as they're adjusting, they notice the Tomkeys don't have a television. And not having a television means that there's a lot of things that they don't know about what's going on in the world and stuff like that. I think that might be a good thing, because for myself, just moving back to the US, there's a lot of references I might not get. There's a lot of things I just don't understand about this country. Like, how come so much of the coffee tastes so bad? And so what ends up happening though is that the Tomkeys actually come over to the Sedaris household the day after Halloween. I really don't know how to feel about this, because they come over the day after Halloween to a trick-or-treating, and it seems as if nobody was aware that they were going to do this. And they're hoping to get Halloween candy. And there's one part of me that thinks it's cool that the Tomkeys have this rebellious spirit that they're going to do Halloween the day after, because the previous day they were still on vacation, or I assume returning therefrom. And so they just decide to do Halloween a day late. And I have really mixed feelings about this. I mean, it seems kind of insane at the same time and extremely awkward. So about a third of the story is just that scene and young David trying to get some candy for them, and his mom hoping that David and her two daughters will rush as quickly as they can to the room, get some candies, and come back down. Well, from what we'll see, David takes his sweet time, but he does deliver, and yet his sisters do not at all. That's all that this story is. I have a few paragraphs here that I'm going to read from, and yeah. So here's one. To say that you did not believe in television was different from saying that you did not care for it. Belief implied that television had a master plan and that you were against it. It also suggested that you thought too much. When my mother reported that Mr. Tomkey did not believe in television, my father said, well, good for him. I don't know if I believe in it either. I like to think about whenever somebody says a statement, sometimes you have to think about what statement are you allowing them to say afterwards. And perhaps he just says that to be polite, like he's not trying to sit there and just talk trash about the neighbors or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it also recites in the story that David Sedaris' mom, she'll turn on the news and then whatever comes on after that. So you just leave the TV on. Is that so good? Nowadays, people might just doom scroll, and I'm sure that that's much worse. Then, on the next page, it says, because they had no TV, the Tomkeys were forced to talk during dinner. They had no idea how puny their lives were, and so they were not ashamed that a camera would have found them uninteresting. They did not know what attractive was, or what dinner was supposed to look like, or even what people were supposed to eat. Sometimes they wouldn't sit down until 8 o'clock, long after everyone else had finished doing the dishes. During the meal, Tomkey would occasionally pound the table and point at his children with a fork. But the moment he finished, everyone would start laughing. I got the idea that he was imitating someone else and wondered if he spied on us while we were eating. So I don't know if I'd ever record these for video again or edit or whatever. But could you sort of imagine this? So I'm holding a red pen and I'm pointing it a bit here at my phone, and then he sort of slams his hands down, waves his hands around. I'm sure it's not just that. I'm sure that every now and then when he's caught up inside of some story, I'm sure there's other motions besides just slamming one's hand on a table tons of times and then taking a utensil and just pointing at his family and all of them laughing. But imagine what that must look like for somebody who does think that that's strange and they're always just, you know, watching TV while eating. Okay, so at the part where David goes to his room to go fetch some candies, it says, my room was situated right off the foyer, and if the Tom Keys had looked in that direction, they could have seen my bed and the brown paper bag marked my candy, keep out. I didn't want them to know how much I had, so I went to my room and shut the door behind me. Then I closed the curtains, emptied my bag onto the bed, searching for whatever was the crummiest. All my life, chocolate has made me ill. I don't know if I'm allergic or what. But the smallest amount leaves me with a blinding headache. Eventually, I learned to stay away from it. But as a child, I refused to be left out. The brownies were eaten, and when the pounding began, I would blame the grape juice or my mother's cigarette smoke, or the tightness of my glasses. Anything but the chocolate. My candy bars were poison, but they were brand name. And so I put them in a pile, number one, which definitely would not go to the Tom Keys. Yeah. So, I mean, after yesterday or so, reading the story a bunch of times and listening to it on YouTube and such, like, I gotta wonder, oh, you just give them like one candy each, right? I mean, however many kids there are in this Tom Key household, if you just bring them a few candies and so does his sisters, then, you're not. I, I start getting the feeling that he thinks that he is responsible to hand them each a handful of candy each. And I don't think that that's how anybody's expecting Halloween, even the day after Halloween. Another thing that I look at is, I don't know, is he allergic to candies? Or maybe at this point, no, he's aware. He's aware of this issue. I mean, he says he'd blame everything else, so he knew it was the chocolate. Yeah, and it kind of happens with me with certain like American chocolates, like some of the Mars ones. I could really get a headache, and I did not find that happening as much with some of the chocolates one might find in China. It's not to say that those chocolates are from China, just you could just happen to buy them at a grocery store from wherever they come from, Japan or I don't know where else. Okay, I don't know what else to say about the story. It is nice, it is short, it is punchy, it has good sense of humor to it, and I'd love to hear what you think about the story. I will post a link to both of these below. And what else can I say here? I'd love to have you follow me on any kind of social media. Any platform would be great to hear what you have to say about various stories. And I always try to post the links to a PDF and a recording of the story if ever I can find it. So I don't know what else to say. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you. Bye.